What's up, guys? It's your girl Tika and I'm back with another video. As you guys can see by the title, today is a story time. So I am going to do, this is story time part 2 about the time when I caught a chick in my house. So remember when I told you guys there was like a lot of parts to this story because a lot of situations occurred like, okay, so let me just get into it. First, I just want to say, do you guys like my hair? Yes, it's all natural. I went to the Dominicans this morning and let them color my hair, trim my ends, and yeah. So I'm feeling it, y'all, and I'm about to get ready to head out, so I gotta hurry up and tell the story time. Okay, anyway, so let's just get straight into it. So remember when I told you guys about part 1 of when I caught a chick into my house? If you guys did not see part 1, go ahead over and watch part 1 of the time I caught a chick into my house. So after I end up moving all my things out, first I have to fast forward because I kind of told this story a little bit backwards. So fast forward, before I ended up moving out of the apartment, I had a homegirl. Like, this homegirl I knew way back from like elementary. I think it was elementary or middle school. I think it might have been middle school. It used to be like me, her, my cousin, and like 2 of our other friends that we was like tight. Like, we used to hang out all the time. Like, we would like we was lit in middle school. Like, we was a clique. It was a gang. Okay, so not literally a gang, like, but we was tight like that. So anyway, y'all, so fast forward to us leaving school, and then we still stayed in contact because we had each other's numbers and stuff. But a couple years went by and we just kind of like grew up, went to different schools, and kind of we wasn't really in contact as much as we were when we were like going to the same school, because we was in middle school together. And of course we went off to high school and, you know, went to different, everybody just separated. But we were always still friends. Like, we would hit each other up on Facebook and MySpace, and, you know, just always kept in contact. So one day or whatever, she hit me up on Facebook and was like, "What's up, Tika? We need to hang out, da da da." By this time, we had already had our babies. So her baby was like a couple months older, like maybe like 3-4 months older than my baby. So that's what really made us reunite, because we were planning on having like a play date with the kids. Now mind you, I haven't really talked to her since we left middle school. We would literally just like a comment, like a picture on social media, maybe like a little comment here and there, but we never really like sat down, caught up on each other's life, hung out or anything like that, because again, we separated. So I never probably think like, what does God do anything? Just keep on listening, okay? I'm gonna get there. So boom. So fast forward to us end up linking. She ended up coming to my apartment because at this time, like I said, I was the only one out of the crew that had an apartment, because I had my first apartment at 17. So she was still living with her daddy, her mama, whoever she was living with. So she ended up coming to meet me at my apartment. Now mind you, me, my son, and his daddy lived in an apartment. It was just us. Like, I didn't have, you know. And so when she came or whatever, she came with a big backpack. I noticed that, but I'm thinking like, okay, maybe she just brought a big backpack because she got her son toys or something inside the backpack. Like, I don't know. I wasn't really thinking nothing of it. And so, you know, we hung out that whole day. The kids played. Like, we just had a good time. I cooked us some food. We ate, we talked, we laughed. Like, we had a good time. We caught up. Like, y'all, we was really hanging out. So she was like, is it okay if I just stay the night? So I'm like, yeah, you can stay the night. Like, you know, I mean, I only had a 1-bedroom apartment. So I'm like, yeah, you could just like sleep on the couch or whatever, and I'll give you like a blanket, you know, I'll make it comfortable for you out there. She's like, okay, that's fine. So her and her baby ended up staying the night. It was no problem. I didn't really mind it. Like, I was cool. But it started to become to the point where the girl didn't want to go home. Like, the next day came around, oh, I'm gonna just stay again. And then the next day came around, can I just stay again? And like, before I knew it, the girl was at my house for 2 weeks. Now, I'm not gonna lie, like, I really was kind of ready for her to go home, because I felt like, okay, girl, like, it's been 2 weeks, what are you doing? You haven't went home and bought, you know, went to go get you no clothes. Your son's still wearing the same clothes that he had. You know what I'm saying? Like, just what's going on? But I didn't say anything, y'all, because I didn't want to seem like a bad friend or rude or anything. Nah, I know y'all probably thinking like, well, girl, how you gonna get mad because your baby daddy had a whole bunch of people in the house and you invited a friend over? The difference between me and him was I really didn't invite people over. Like it was like a ongoing thing with him. This was the only person that has ever came over to my house to stay the night or to like hang out with me as a friend. You know what I mean? Like I've had my family come over and visit me, but this was the only friend that ever came over to my house and actually stayed nights. So anyway, and mind you, this was before I got fed up with the whole trap house thing with him. Like I said, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, go watch that video, you'll catch up. So anyway, so yeah, so she was just like, so I'm like, okay, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, when are you gonna go home? But I didn't say anything. So one day, like my auntie ended up coming over there, and my auntie was like, Tika, what is you doing? Like, why is this girl still at your house? Every time I came over here, she's still been here. Like, she's been here for over 2 weeks. You have a man. You have a baby. You don't allow women to just lay up in your house like that, girl. You can't trust everybody. And I was like, no, auntie, she's my friend. Like, we cool. My auntie was like, yeah, but at the end of the day, Tika, you have to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you can't trust everybody. Like, basically, she was just telling me, like, I can't trust everybody. Everybody's not meant to be in my house staying with me, because at the end of the day, I have a man and I have a baby, and I can't really, that's just, you know what I'm saying. Like, y'all, if you get it, you get it, okay? So I'm like, you know what, auntie, you right. And I did notice that, like, she don't want to go home. Not only that, but y'all, like, it would be times where she would actually use my baby daddy phone, and I would never think nothing of it, because she did not have a phone. Like, she would call me off of like when we were talking and stuff, and then when we did get each other numbers, it was like her dad number or like one of her siblings numbers. Like, it wasn't her direct number. So she would always ask my baby daddy, can she use his phone or whatever, because I didn't have a phone either at the time. I don't even know why I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a phone either at the time. I did have a phone. Something happened to my phone. So I had a phone, but something had happened to my phone. So at this point, I did not have a phone. But I think later I'd end up getting a new one. I don't remember. So whatever. But she would always ask my baby daddy phone. So he would be like, okay, yeah, like, you know, he didn't really care or whatever. So she would always use his phone, and like, this is over the period. This is over the 2 weeks of her staying here. She would ask use his phone. Or I would be in the kitchen, like, making dinner for all of us, and she would be, like, watching me from, like, the corner of her eyes or whatever. And I would notice it, but I would never, like, say anything, because I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just tripping. Because, y'all, I am an overthinker. Like, when I tell y'all, I will think, I just think too much. Like, I'm always thinking. And that sometimes that could be a really big problem with me, because I think too much, and I be overdoing myself. So I'm like, okay, you know what, maybe I'm just tripping, whatever. I just let it go. I didn't say anything about it, but I would notice that. So when my auntie told me not to have a girls all up in my house, I have a man, I have a baby, you can't trust everybody, and everybody don't need to be up in my house, I thought about it. I'm like, you know what, auntie, you're right. Like, she has been here for a long time. She don't want to go home. I don't know what's going on with her. It was even a point where I had asked her, like, hey, girl, like, what you doing? Like, you ever going to go back home? Where are you living at? And she would tell me, like, oh, I'm living with my dad and my stepmom right now, but I don't really want to be over there because they treat me like this. And so I had actually asked her, but she gave me a whole little story. So anyway, my auntie came on my like, no, you finna make her leave. You finna make her leave right now. She has to go. So I'm like, okay. So my auntie was like, so go ahead and find an excuse to, you know what I'm saying, tell her that she has to go home. And my auntie's like, because it's something about her. Like, my auntie was just telling me, like, it's something about her that I'm not, you know. So I'm like, okay. So she was like, so my auntie told me, she was like, tell her that you're gonna be gone for 5 days because you're gonna be at my house helping me with the kids, and nobody's going to be at your house except for the baby and your baby daddy. That's it. So she don't need to be here. So I'm like, okay, I'll tell her that. So I go over and I don't know what she was doing. Wherever she was at around the apartment, I went to her and I was like, hey, look, I'm about to get ready to go to my auntie house. I'm about to help her babysit her kids, and I'm going to be gone for a couple of days. So nobody's going to be here besides my baby daddy and my son. So, you know what I'm saying? You probably have to go home, and I'll call you later or something like that. So she was like, oh, okay. And she was like, but how am I going to get home? I don't have a way home. And I was like, oh, my auntie, she'll take you home. We'll take you. She was like, oh, okay. So y'all, this girl took like 30 minutes to pack up her things. Now mind y'all, She only came to my house with one backpack. One backpack, and that was it. Like, I'm just trying to figure out, what are you packing? Because you didn't have anything. Like, you literally just brought one backpack. I was giving her son, her baby, clothes to put on because she would never go home and get him no clothes or anything. So, what are you packing? I'm lost. So, finally, she's like, okay, guys, I'm done. I'm ready. So, we're like, okay. So, we did not hesitate. We immediately got in the car. We drove her to her destination. So, she wanted to go, I want to say about, her house is about 15 minutes away from where I was living at, or whoever house she had us drop her off to. So, my auntie was like, my auntie wasn't just talking to me, and she was just telling me, like, yeah, pretty much same thing I already said. You can't trust women around your man like that. It's okay to have friends and invite them over, but she's been here for 2 weeks. That's too long, and she needs to go back home. It's just, just kind of putting me up on game about women and being an adult and handling whatever. Okay, so my auntie ended up dropping me back off home. Because me and my auntie was like really, really tight. Like, she would come over, hang out with me. I'll go over, hang out with her. Like, it's my mom's sister. So we was like really, really close. So every now and then she'll pull up at the house and hang out with me. So that's how she managed to pull up while the girl was there. On multiple occasions she's pulled up and the girl had been there. So it was just like, okay, what is going on here? But anyway, so I go back home, right? I'm go back home. Because I only told her that I was leaving because to get her to go home, because she literally would not go home. So I want to say about 5, like not even 5, like maybe like I'll give it 10 minutes after I got back home. I'm in the house, I'm on the couch with my baby, with my son, and my son's daddy was outside downstairs. So I'm on my phone, not my phone, I was on my computer or on my tablet at the time, I don't remember, I don't know. One or the other I was on, and I was just scrolling through social media or whatever, and then all of a sudden my son daddy run upstairs and was like, your homegirl back. And I'm like, wait, what? He was like, yeah, she's back. And all of a sudden I see her, as he telling me that she's back, I see her walking up behind him. Like, he came to the door, like to the front door, because he was outside on the stairs talking to his homeboys, and he came to the door to tell me, like, your homegirl back, she's downstairs right now, she's coming up. And then I see her walk up behind him, not knowing that I'm in the house, because last time I told her I was going to be at my aunt's house. So the only people that she knew, like I said, would be at my house was my son and his daddy. So when she see me, her eyes got like big, and she was just like, Tika, what you doing here? I thought you was leaving. I said, no, what are you doing here? I thought I told you that I wasn't going to be home. You didn't call me, you didn't call nobody and tell me that you were coming, you didn't write me on Facebook, you didn't tell me anything. Like, what are you doing here? And she was like, oh no, I came over because I left my shirt. So I'm like, what shirt did you leave? She's like, hold on, I'm gonna go get it. So she goes, mind you, I'm sitting on the couch. So she walks to my room or whatever, and she was like, oh, I left this shirt. Y'all, it was a dirty white t-shirt. So you mean to tell me you drove, or you walked, or you caught the bus, or you did whatever you did all the way from your place to come back here to pick up a dirty t-shirt? One t-shirt? It wasn't like she left her wallet. It wasn't like she left her purse. It wasn't like she left her son diapers. It wasn't like you came back for a dingy white t-shirt. So when I seen her walk out, I'm like, girl, you came back for that? And she's like, no, hold on. And she went outside and she just disappeared. She never came back. So my mind got to racing. I'm like, okay, that's weird. I told you I wasn't going to be home. What are you doing here? Why didn't you call me? If anything, you should have waited until I told you I would be back to come back and pick up your shirt. I'm lost. And y'all, she didn't have her son with her either when she came back, y'all. So what y'all think she came back to do? Now that I got that part of the way, let's fast forward. Boom. Now fast forward to the part when I told y'all that I caught a girl. I ended up packing up all my stuff and came back to my apartment, and I caught a girl in the bed with my baby daddy, right? Okay. When I ended up clearing that house out of everything that was in there, I cleared everything out of that apartment. Mind y'all, I left him. I was gone. I was done. I was gone. I was still hurt. I was crying, snot, book of tears and everything, y'all. But I was done. Like, I was hurt and done. So after I left him, I put the apartment out. Remember in the last video I told y'all the only thing that I left in that apartment was what? The bed and the blanket that the girl was under. That was the only two things I left in that apartment. So I'm on Facebook or whatever. Mind y'all, when the girl came back to my apartment while I was supposed to have been gone, I let it go because I didn't have enough evidence to build on her. You feel what I'm saying? I let it go. I'm like, okay, you know what? That's strike one for you, okay? Because you came back after I told you I wasn't gonna be home. That's strike one. Okay. So okay. So y'all, I'm on social media and I'm scrolling. I want to say like a week go by. I'm on social media and I'm scrolling. Keep in mind, y'all, during the time that I left my baby daddy, left my son's dad, I was meeting new people. Like I was still hurt, I was still crying, I wasn't looking for a relationship, but I was talking to people, y'all. I was talking to people. So, you know, I mean, I'm young, I don't want to just be crying over this dude. I want to move on. Like I want to just find somebody else I can put my time real quick. Let me just, you know. So now I end up meeting this guy, right? And we're gonna call him K. Just gonna call him K. So I end up meeting K, right? K was cool. He was like sweet as hell. Now mind you, I met K around how can I say this without confusing y'all? So I knew what I had planned. Like I knew that I was end up going to leave my baby daddy, right? Like I knew I was going to leave him. Like I would catch girls in his phone. Like I would catch so much going on. So I just started like low key, just kind of like, you know, doing me too, but not really. Just kind of just like texting every blue moon or something like that. And I ended up meeting Kane, but I never gave him the time of the day. I just kind of like ended up meeting him, and then we never really talked up until I ended up moving out of the apartment with my son and daddy. So we ended up talking, right? And you know, everything was going good. He was cool as hell. Cool. Now mind y'all, the girl who I was just telling you guys about, my homegirl, my ex-homegirl, she didn't know who her baby daddy was at the time, y'all. Yeah, she didn't know. That should have been a red flag number one, not to have her come back to my apartment. But yeah, she did not know who her son dad was. She told me her son dad was two different guys. Keep that in mind. Two different guys. She told me was her baby daddy. So clearly she don't know who her baby daddy was. So now when I left when I left from at my apartment, I ended up talking to Kay. Me and Kay was talking, and he told me that he had like a son. He told me how old his son was, y'all. But I didn't know. I didn't know. He never sent me no pictures of his son. He never showed me anything about his son. I just know he had a son around the same age as my son. That was it. And so we you know, I'm talking to him. So when I end up busting the windows out of my baby daddy door, he was telling me, I was talking to him, I was telling him like, yeah, this what happened, and you know, I was crying on the phone. He was just like, dang, that's crazy. So now keep that in mind, y'all gotta keep that in mind. Stay with me. Now back to the part when I was telling you guys that all I had left in the house was the blanket and the bed. A week go by, y'all. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm scrolling through, and I see her post a status about who lives in such apartments. Now mind y'all, she didn't live in those apartments. Those are the apartments that I just recently lived in, and that I just moved out of from with my son's daddy. She didn't even know anybody in those apartments because I was the only person that she knew there. And so when she said it, I'm like, wait a minute, she live in those apartments now? She was like, oh, somebody pull up on me, and somebody was like, oh, where you live? And she said the name of my apartments that I recently was just living in. So I'm like, wait a minute, dang, she moved into that quick? Like what? So I let it go. Then she posted a picture one late night, and in the background I seen my bed and my blanket that I left behind. Y'all, my mind went to rolling. My mind went to spinning. All I could think about was, only thing that popped up in my head was every red flag that I completely ignored. The time she popped up while I was gone. The time she kept asking for his phone. The time she was staring from the corner of her eyes while I'm cooking breakfast and dinner for us. Like every red flag. The time that I didn't even tell her this part, but the time where I caught her with my earrings, and like it would just be like little petty stuff that she like, y'all, every red flag just went flashing past my mind. Like, it was so crazy. So every red flag just kept like flashing through my mind, y'all. So I was telling my cousin, like, I'm like, listen, I think this girl sleeping with my baby daddy. Like, I don't know what's going on, da da da. So mind you, my cousin knew her because we were all like tight like this, even including my cousin. So my cousin was like, oh yes, she was hyping me up, like, yeah, she at your house, girl, she at your house. We finna call her right now. So my cousin called her and she didn't answer the phone. So my cousin wrote her on social media. She didn't respond back. Like, she was like completely ignoring our calls, not responding back to on social media or anything. So I called my son daddy, and I'm just like, you know, hello. He like, what's up? I'm like, so are you sleeping with my best friend, with my homegirl? And he was like, that's not your homegirl. So I'm like, answer the question. I'm like, what you mean it's not my homegirl? He was like, yeah, she not your homegirl. And I'm like, just tell me right now, what y'all got going on? So he got silent on the phone, y'all, for a good like 5 minutes. And I'm like, hello? And he was just like, that's not your homegirl. So I'm like, well, tell me what's up then. Tell me why you figure that she's not my homegirl. I already know what's going on. Like, I'm not stupid. I just seen her post a picture. Da, da, da. Like, I'm running down everything that I just seen on social media. So he was like, I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, I did. When he told me that, y'all, all I know is I just burst out in tears, y'all. I was just so hurt. Like, it's like, even though I just caught a girl in the bed, and then you just told me you just admitted to sleeping with my homegirl who I let come stay with us, like, what? All I could do was just burst out in tears, y'all. And he was like, but I only did it because she said that you was talking to her baby daddy. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, well, who is her baby daddy? And he was like, yeah, she told me one night when she was at the hotel, she heard you on the phone with Kay. Mind you, Kay is the guy that I was telling you guys about that I ended up meeting, what I just recently told y'all. So I'm like, wait a minute, what? I was like, she never told me that this was her baby daddy. Like, what the hell? So I'm like, you know what? I went to going off on him, and I was like, you know what? I'm done with y'all. Y'all so messy. Y'all petty. I don't have time for this. He said, she said, da da da. So I try to call her. She's ignoring my phone calls. At one point, I believe she blocked me. So I write her on social media, y'all. She's ignoring me. So I make a long post on social media, y'all. This is when I used to be a social media girl. Like, I would post everybody's business. Well, when I got into an argument with somebody, like, I'll post everything, screenshots. I'll be on social media arguing with anybody, everybody. I didn't care who you were. And I would always put all my business out on social media too. Like, that was one thing. I used to always do that. Thank God I grew up from that. So I wrote a long post on social media, and I had like so many comments, so many shares, so many replies. And finally she responded. But let me just fast forward. So after that, me and her ended up going back and forth. She's talking about, oh, he talked me into it and blah 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 blah. He was just he got into my ears and I let him take the best of me. I would have never done that to you, and just all these little sob stories. So I called Kay on the phone. I'm like, Kay, so who's your baby mama? And he was like, such and such is my baby mama. And I'm like, wait a minute. He told me her name. So I'm like, wait a minute. Why didn't you tell me that? He was like, what you mean? What, you know her or something? And I'm like, yes, that's the girl I was telling you about, who, you know, because I hadn't told him everything that was going on. Like, every time, you know, he was like kind of like a person that I would just cry to or something like that. So I had already updated him on everything that was going on. I updated him about the girl in my bed. I updated him about my homegirl, sleep, like, you know, what I found in my phone. I mean, what I found on social media from her. So I had already told him this. And so he was like, wait a minute. But I never told him who. I just said my homegirl. I never said no names. He never said no names. So we never even knew. So I was like, why did you have to tell me her name? He was like, wait a minute. It's all making sense now. He was like, because she was at the hotel with me one night with me, my mom, because he was living in a hotel, y'all. She had came to stay over with his mom, his sister, and somebody else, right? But they wasn't together. They wasn't together because of the whole DNA situation with the son or whatever, but because he wasn't sure if that was really and truly his son, but he claimed the little boy up until he got DNA test results. So because I had ended up making her leave and she didn't have nowhere to go because she was running away from her dad or whoever she was running away from, he ended up letting her stay because she had the baby. So one day one night when me and Kay was on the phone, she walked in and asked him, because he had me on speaker, and he told me that she walked in and asked him who he was on the phone with, and he was like, "You don't know her." And she was like, "Oh, well, that sounds like a girl named Tika." And he was like, you know, he said he didn't think nothing of it, like he just ignored it and didn't, you know, worry about it or whatever. And so I'm like, so he was like, but she never even said, after she said it's not a girl named Tika, she never said nothing else. She just walked out the room or whatever. And the next day she packed up her bags and left. And apparently that's when she went over to, and that's when she went over to my baby daddy house to try to play the get back game. Now keep in mind, y'all, to this day, come to find out, he was never even a baby daddy. Never. He ended up doing a DNA test. It came back he wasn't a daddy. And y'all, to this day, this girl got like 5-6 kids from all of them are supposedly from the same dude, y'all. But yes, that's my toxic story time, y'all. I'm gonna just end it right here because it's another part to this story time, but I don't want to make it too long. But yeah, y'all, I hope I didn't confuse y'all. Like, I hope I didn't confuse y'all. I hope y'all was able to keep up with the story. Because yes, this story got toxic and it got really, really deep. But like I said, y'all, this is my younger days. Like, if y'all want to ask me some questions, y'all gotta ask the old me. Y'all can't ask the new me, because the new me, half the stuff I done been through back then, I wouldn't even think twice about doing now. So don't ask me why I didn't do it like this and why I didn't handle it like that, because I don't know why. Okay, I don't know. Ask the old Tika why she didn't do this and why she didn't do that. Okay, so don't give me too much. But that's my story time, y'all, and I hope you guys enjoyed the story time. If you did, hit that like, put a comment, and don't forget to subscribe, because what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? But anyway, y'all, yeah, so have a good day. See you guys in my next video. Bye.